to 10% of the water, the very limited water in the Strip, is usable. Israel has constantly attacked the water system. The last invasion, U.S.-backed Israeli invasion a year ago, destroyed around 30 kilometers of pipes, other equipment. Nothing is allowed back in to repair them. So by now, as Nancy said, children are dying of diseases from poisoned water. And that's going to continue. The Red Cross estimates that if this continues, it would, in the best of circumstances, unless something's done about it, it may take centuries before this region becomes viable, before it's possible for life to exist there. Well, this is more rational savagery. A couple of months ago, I was out in California giving a fundraising talk for the Middle East Children's Alliance. It's a marvelous organization that's been working in Gaza and other places for years. Barbara Lubin, its director, had just come back from Gaza, a very heroic woman. She described, she talked, as Nancy did, about what they found. One of the things they did, the delegation, was to go around to schools and just ask children, if you had one request, what could it be? Would it be? And then they thought they might direct their funding to that. And overwhelmingly, what children said in the schools is that they would like is a drink of water in the morning. Well, that's Gaza. And they did manage to find mechanics in the region, in the Strip, who were able to construct small water purification devices, and they're trying now to fund enough water purification made with local materials so that maybe children can have a drink of water in the morning, their fondest wish. Well, that's what we're doing. And we should remember that. There's a purpose. The purpose was explained right at the beginning of the occupation by Moshe Dayan, who was the Minister of Defense and in charge of the occupied territories. In late 1967, he informed his colleagues that we should tell the Palestinians and the territories that we have nothing to offer them. They will live like dogs, and those who will leave, and we'll see where this ends up. And that's the policy. It's quite rational. Live like dogs, and we'll see what happens. So yes, sadism, but rational sadism. And things are not dramatically different in the West Bank, somewhat, but not much. First of all, everything turning to the West Bank, just about everything that's going on there is in violation of international law, gross violation. There's a lot of talk here about expansion of the settlements. That's completely diversionary. It has almost nothing to do with the issues. I mean, even if there was no further expansion of the settlements, they already destroy the possibilities of a viable Palestinian existence. Every one of them is illegal and known to be. There isn't any controversy about it. In late 1967, Israel was informed by its highest legal authorities. The main one, Theodore Meron, is a very respected international lawyer, a judge in the criminal courts, the international tribunals, and he informed the government of what, in fact, is transparent, that transferring population to occupied territories is in gross violation of the Geneva Conventions. It's the foundations of international humanitarian law. The Attorney General affirmed his conclusion. A couple of years ago, as you know, it was reaffirmed by the International Court of Justice. Moshe Dayan, who was in charge, recognized that in late 1967. He said, yes, it's true. Everything we're doing is in violation of international law, but that's often done, so we'll dismiss it. And he's right. As long as the Godfather says it's fine, you can dismiss it. So yes, we'll go on carrying out criminal acts, and we'll debate some minor crime, like maybe expanding. We'll debate expanding settlements to allow natural growth. That'll divert attention from the real issue, and we'll be able to believe that our government is somehow acting humanely and in an effort to achieve peace. That expansion of the settlements, which is the big issue that we're supposed to be excited about, even a 10-month alleged suspension, which Hillary Clinton praised as unprecedented generosity. All of that, even that little toothpick is a fraud. When Obama announced that he wanted a termination of expansion of the settlements, he was just quoting George W. Bush. That's in the who had said exactly the same thing, and in fact, it's in the so-called roadmap, the officially agreed framework for policy. When that's ever mentioned, it's rarely pointed out that Israel did accept the roadmap formally, but immediately added 14 reservations, which completely eviscerated it. So it rejected the roadmap with U.S. Acquiescence. So therefore, as Diane said, well, yes, fine, we'll just dismiss it. But that's in the roadmap. Obama repeated it just as Bush did, but he repeated it with the usual wink. When asked, his spokesperson said that the U.S. opposition to the expansion was purely symbolic. He would not go even as far as Bush #1, who imposed very mild sanctions for expansion of settlements. But Obama made clear, no, we're not going to do that. These are just symbolic statements. So this minor diversionary operation can continue with effective U.S. support. So it's all illegal. We permit it, so therefore it's fine. It's authorized, and it expands the principle of fragmentation, which is the core of U.S.-Israeli strategic policy. So separate Gaza from the West Bank. In the West Bank itself, the program is for Israel to take whatever's valuable and break up the rest into unviable cantons. What's valuable is, first of all, the water resources. It's a pretty arid region, but there is an aquifer, there's water, and it runs on the West Bank, on the Palestinian side of the international border. So Israel has to annex that. And that's also some of the most arable land. And it's also the nice suburbs. It's the pleasant suburbs of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, kind of like Lexington, where I live, relative to Boston. Nice place to live. So that all happens to be in the West Bank, so we have to annex that. And there's a wall, as you know, snaking through the West Bank. It should properly be called the annexation wall, because the plan is to annex everything that's inside it, incorporate it within Israel, and that's with a polite smile from the Godfather, so therefore that's okay. It's interesting, in the commemorations of November 9th, fall of the Berlin Wall, Angela Merkel, the German chancellor, made an impassioned speech about how we have to bring down all the walls that divide us, but not the one cutting through the West Bank, which is about twice as high as the Berlin Wall and far longer, and simply stealing land from defenseless people, thanks to the leader of the free world and us, because we're allowing it. So take over everything that's valuable kind of near the border, take over the Jordan Valley on the other side. That's about a third of the West Bank. And the Palestinians are being kept out of it by one means or another, or driven out. It's being settled. That imprisons what's left, and what's left is divided by carefully planned settlement salients, which cut through to break it up into parts. So there's one going east of what's called Jerusalem, greatly expanded region. Greater Jerusalem expands almost all the way to Jericho. There's another, essentially bisects the West Bank. There's another to the north, including the town of Ariel. Another one north of that goes to Gedumim. And so it essentially breaks the region up. There's technically contiguity way over through the